12th annual Wild and Scenic Film Festival. It is wild and scenic because we've got rain. That's a big deal here during the drought. I'm Michael Stone. I'm here with Suzanne Mitchell to talk about her new movie, the Running Wild, the Life of O Hyde. Dayton O Hyde. And I just love this movie. It was such a great movie. And I thought, it was about the horses, but I thought, no, it's about Dayton running wild.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. He
wonderful.
freed himself with the horses.
Yeah.
So it's a story about one man's mission to make a difference in our planet, one species, one plant, one prairie at a time. And when I met Dayton 21 years ago, he was telling me stories about his past, but he was doing it from a place that he had just created, this 13,000-acre wild horse sanctuary in the Black Hills of South Dakota. And what you have to understand is that for Dayton to do this and to save these wild horses from the Bureau of Land Management feedlots, which is a story that's all in the news lately, he needed to create a place where these horses could exist and have the proper forage and water, which is really important. And he found this piece of land that was going to be developed by a petrochemical company and also subdivided into housing. And so, in a sense, it's the horses helping Dayton save the land. And so for this festival, it really is the perfect, complement to what you guys are all about.
He's got such an indomitable spirit, too, and he just keeps going. I mean, what it took to do that. And in the meanwhile, he left his family, left his own ranch, and moved out here. Talk about that. What inspired him? What was it that kept him going? Was it just seeing those beautiful Mustangs running free and wild?
I mean, Dayton always needs a project. He's 88 years old, and his new project is fighting a uranium mining company in the Black Hills of South Dakota from Canada that wants to mine for uranium. So in 1988, when he came across these horses that were penned up in the government feedlots, he knew that he owed his life to the wild horse. It was wild horses that he cowboyed on. And to see them put in jail, he was heartbroken. And it was at that moment, next project, I'm out there, I'm going to try and make a difference in these animals' lives. And in doing that is how he found the land, or maybe the land found him. In the end, what's really great is that this is a very ancient piece of Native American land. It's where many ceremonies dating back thousands of years happened. And he's invited the Lakota Indians back onto their land to hold their native sun dances, and he's trying to incorporate it and make it much more sustainable, not only for the horses, but for the indigenous people of that area. So,
one of the things that I loved about that was how honored he was by the indigenous people. In fact, in one of the ceremonies there at the Sundance ceremony, which he had on the property, they gave him a name. What was that name?
Protector of the Ceremony.
Protector of the Ceremony. Lovely. So tell us about what inspired you to make this film. How did you meet and how did you get inspired? This whole weekend is about empowerment and inspiration. How were you inspired and empowered to do this film?
I was inspired by his stories. I met him when I was out there on a television special for ABC News. We were doing the 20th anniversary of People magazine. And he had a short little story in one of the pages of People, and so I selected it as one of the stories I wanted to cover in that 2-hour special. It was going to be whittled down to a minute and a half, as many things in larger specials are for TV, but I met him and I spent 5 days with him and realized at that moment that I had just come across one of the most magnificent characters in my career. So I looked at my cameraman as we pulled away. I was sobbing. I rarely did that. And he looked at me, my cameraman, who I'd been working with for a decade at that point, and said, "We got to do a film." And that was 1992. In 2002, finally, with high definition video filmmaking, I was able to afford to do it on my own credit cards. What people try what they come to realize in watching this film is that Dayton was 62 years old and started this on credit cards. He was not some big wealthy landholder who, like Ted Turner or someone else, could go out and buy 1 million acres and create a buffalo sanctuary or a horse sanctuary. He was doing this on credit cards and loans that he had to pay back. So I figured if he could do that in his 60s, I certainly could do it in terms of starting a film to tell his story, to bring it forward to a whole new generation who might be inspired to get off their butts and make a difference. No matter how big or small, it doesn't have to be 13,000 acres, right? We
It's
could
so
do this on our
inspiring,
in our
though, you know,
backyards.
you hear so often, well, I want to be active in this, but I don't have the time, or I don't have the money, or this, and this is a sign that anybody, and you made your film. How long was it, the process?
12 long years.
Wow.
And what's so fascinating is that Dayton said, and these are the words that kicked it off for me, I've never seen a hearse pulling a U-Haul full of stuff behind it before. Right? We can only take what we create with us, not what we own.
Yeah.
So it seems to me like if he was able to do that, then I certainly could make a film, and audiences could come out, festivals like Wild and Scenic could screen the film, and hopefully, even if we touch one person in the audience who then says to themselves, hey, you know what, if he could do it, I can do it.
I think you're going to touch a lot of people with this film, and we don't have much time, but tell us a little bit about how you've been touched by the Nevada City and what the Circle Wild and Scenic Film Festival here in Nevada City.
Well, it's interesting. So our film started on the festival circuit last year, and we distributed and we had a theatrical run. But when I got the call from Mark about this particular festival, you had me at hello, because it's the largest environmental film festival of its kind.
In the world.
This is an environmental film.
Yeah.
How could I not want to partake in something like this? And I think that we'll see what happens after this weekend, but at least the folks in the audience and the people certainly living in this town, I mean, I believe they will gravitate towards this. I had a great opportunity last night, I have to tell you. I was invited to the Nevada County Horsemen's Association, and they have monthly meetings, and it just happened to be last night. So we presented and we told them all about the festival, so we think we're going to get a lot of ranchers down here and take a look at what you're doing.
Awesome. Suzanne Mitchell, so great to have you here.
you.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
inspiration, your commitment, and taking the time to be with us.
Thank you
on the
so
film.
much.
Blessings.
Bye.